these are my two favorite altcoin trades at the moment. The first altcoin that is looking prime for potential more upside is Chainlink. And when we look at this chart over here, we see some very interesting price action that could lead to a high probability long setup. We can see these constant fake breakout structures over here in the past, right? I've been teaching you guys about these fake breakout structures. Why are these fake breakout structures? Because the high that we break over here, the high that we break over here are not significant highs. Why? Because these highs, they do not bring us to fresh lows compared to this low that brought us to this high, or this low that brought us to this high. So because of that, they're not significant highs. Now, after these fake breakout structures, we sweep sell side liquidity over here. Why is there sell side liquidity resting beneath this low? Because of this final breakout structure over here. People long over here because they see this fake breakout structure and they put their stop loss over here. We mitigate that sell side liquidity pool, then we push up over here, right? And we put in another fake break structure. Then we sweep some more sell side liquidity over here. After that sell side liquidity sweep, once again, push up, fake break structure. Why is this a fake break of structure? Because this high did bring us to a new low compared to this low that brought us to that high. So you would say that it's a valid break of structure. No, it's not. Why? Because we only wicked above the high. In order to get a valid break of structure, first you need to identify the significant high or significant low, but you also need to open and close a candle above the significant high, or open and close the candle below a significant low to get a valid break of structure. In this case, we only wicked above. And because we just wicked above, there was sell side liquidity resting beneath this low over here, right? What have we done right now? We took out the sell side liquidity. And because of this fake break of structure, there was valid sell side liquidity resting over here. Besides the fact that we have valid sell side liquidity resting over here, if you look at this previous supply candle that we have over here, right, the last green candle before the impulsive move to the downside, we can see that the previous supply candle wasn't respected over here, and instead we broke above it and created a bullish fair value gap at the exact same price. Whenever you have a bullish fair value gap aligning with previous supply, you have yourself a bullish breaker block, a high probability breaker block. Where do we tap into? Exactly into that bullish breaker block. So basically, this low over here was an inducement, was a front run of the bullish high probability breaker block. So currently we are sweeping sell side liquidity in towards a bullish breaker block, and we are bouncing towards the upside. Now things are about to get interesting. After we identify market structure, after we identify the sell side liquidity and the liquidity that is resting towards the upside, we need one more trigger for our trading system in order to get a high probability setup. And that trigger is always based off ranges. And when we look at the current Chainlink chart, we can see that we have ourselves a high probability range. Why? Because we have pivot number 1 over here, pivot number 2 over here, and then pivot number 3 over here. And we know that ranges always need 3 pivots, and that the range levels that we can see over here need to get respected as resistance and as support. And we can see that the mid-range and the party levels of the range are both beautifully constantly getting respected as resistance and as support, and that is giving us the confirmation that we are looking at a high probability range. So we have the valid sweep of sell side liquidity, we have to tap into that bullish breaker block, we have the high probability range. All that we need right now is a reclaim of the range low level in confluence with a break of structure. If we analyze the local trend over here, we can see that we form a high, a higher low, then a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So that means that the significant high to break is this most recent high over here. Because this most recent high brought us to this most recent low, and because of that, it's the most significant high to break. So in order to execute this long setup on Chainlink, we need one more trigger, and that's a shift in structure to the upside over here. So if we open and close candles on the 1 hourly time frame above this high that brought us to this most recent low, we have our final trigger. And after we get that final trigger, we can then identify a level of support, for example the range low area, to put our limit long, invalidation beneath the low of the deviation, and our target is that range high liquidity pool, which is resting above this high over here. Why this high and not the highest high? Because we always use the second to highest high or the second to lowest low to take profit. Why? Guys, you can now also trade Woo, Bitcoin and other crypto pairs on Prime XBT. They are now finally offering crypto futures trading alongside trading commodities, Forex and more. Definitely one of the most trusted exchanges out there. And if you want to sign up, make sure to use a link in the description down below and you will get a 7% deposit bonus. Because the greedy retail traders, the greedy stupid traders, they always want to use the highest high over here. Why do they want to use the highest high? Because then the potential profits are bigger, of course, and they are greedy. But we aren't greedy, we are smart instead, and we take a little less profit for a higher probability that the take profit target gets hit, and that's this second to highest high that also aligns with that range high level over here. So for Chainlink, it's very simple. We need a trigger by opening closing candles above this high that brought us to this most recent low. Then we play the higher low, have a clear invalidation, and we have a clear take profit target for a high probability A+ long setup on Chainlink. The next altcoin is potentially looking primed for a lot higher is Fantom, guys. Look at the crucial area of resistance and support that we are currently potentially breaking out above. We can see previous high over here resulted in a huge crash. Resistance resulted in a huge crash. Then we reclaim it, tested as support over here, and that results in a huge pump. And over here we break out below it again, and then we can see that the top of this wick acts as huge resistance, and then we drop off again, right? So we can see crucial area of support and resistance based off the weekly time frame. On the 12 hourly time frame, we get a much more detailed view. Beautiful resistance. Over here we zoom in, we can even see that the price was struggling over here as well. Then we reclaim it, retest it, and we send it to the upside. Look over here, guys. We find some support, but then it's not strong enough, so we break back below it, retest it over here, bears retest, results in a huge crash. Now if you analyze the local price action over here currently for Fantom, what can we see? Price was finding resistance several times over here on the 6 hourly time frame, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. What are we potentially doing right now as we speak? Right now we are potentially turning it into support as we speak. Potential flip of a high time frame area of support and resistance into support with this bullish hour 4 candle close. All that we need right now is to analyze the local trend over here. We can see that we have a bit of a local downtrend. Low, lower high, lower low. So in order to get a trigger, we need a shift in structure to the upside over here. We need to open and close candles above this high and brought us to this most recent low. If we get that trigger, then I'm looking to add to my current long trade on Fantom. Most of you guys know that I entered a beautiful long trade yesterday already on Fantom that already hit the first take profit target, and I already have my stop loss to break even. Over here, as always guys, I shared the exact trading signal for Fantom, as you can see. Exact risk, exact entry points, exact stop loss, and as you guys can see over here on the screen is that this trade setup played out beautifully. But now if I want to add to this current long position, I'm looking for a reclaim of this lower time frame range high in confluence with a break of structure over here. And if we get that scenario, if we do get that reclaim with the break of structure, I'm looking to play the higher low. I have a new invalidation beneath this low, and then I'm targeting $1.23 and $1.64.5. Because if you look at the weekly time frame, you can see that the weekly buy side liquidity, guys, is resting above the high over here. Once again, I take the second to highest high instead of the highest high. This is where the weekly buy side liquidity is resting. After such a huge support resistance flip, you should expand towards buy side liquidity, and that is resting around $1.64.5. So I do still need my trigger on Chainlink, I do still need my trigger on Fantom, but if I do get my triggers based off price action, after I already have my trigger based off ranges and liquidity, I will engage with the brand new long position on my 2 favorite altcoins at the moment.